And now this is where our band comes in. Now, if you are comfortable in this kneeling position, join me here. Great stretch for your ankles. Good things happening in the lower body here if you can tolerate this position. If being here causes you pain in your knee, pain in your ankles, pain in your low back, pain anywhere, just do the exact same exercise sitting. What I like about kneeling is that not only are we kind of working on mobility at the same time of our lower body, you can often feel fairly good awareness of your sit bones on your heels or on your feet. And we're going to use that awareness, you're going to use that for feedback, much like we did in the previous exercise in this class where we had the ball on our sit bones and we were using that for feedback. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our band and we're going to place it in different areas of our low back and see if we can just try and target movement at that specific area. So it's not like we're trying to round our spine as much as we can or arch our spine as much as we can. You're trying your very best to focus on right where that band is and try and make that the first piece of your spine that moves and the piece that moves the most. So again, feel free to do this sitting as well. We're going to start with that band fairly low on our low back. Now you get to decide how much tension you want on the band. So you could have your hands pretty close together, pull it through so that your arms have to work a little bit, and then you're going to get a lot of feedback from that band. Your arms are going to have to work a little bit more. Or you can go a little bit lighter and just anchor your hands on your knees and have less tension on the band. We're not trying to strengthen your low back with this exercise, so truthfully, I don't care how much tension you have on it. It's just trying to give you a target. So I need you to be able to feel the band on your low back and feel the change in tension on the band as you move your spine. It's not about trying to apply so much tension that you're strengthening the low back. So we're gonna place this really low to start, okay? So I'm gonna take it and I'm going to place it right about there. You can play with different spots. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect. Don't stress out about matching me perfectly either. Just play with different areas. And so I'm going to place it really low. I'm going to put some degree of tension on the band. Then I'm going to place my hands on my knees so that the band is anchored there. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and keep my chest fairly still. So if I'm truly mostly or only using my lower spine or my lumbar spine, my chest isn't going to change much because that's more my thoracic spine. So my chest is mostly going to stay pointed straight ahead. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and slowly apply pressure onto the band to try and round my low back at that specific spot. So I'm going to focus on where that band is and I'm going to try and push back into it just a little bit, trying to, again, create a curve that peaks right where the band is as best I can. And then I'm going to do the opposite and I'm going to try and create slack on that band and let that band come forward, which will then take me into lumbar extension. So you're just using the band as a target and a feedback tool so that you have a little extra confirmation that, yes, I am moving that part of my spine, because when I go into extension, as I'm doing right now, I feel slack on the band. And when I go into flexion, I feel increased tension on that band. Okay, so try a part of your lower spine. Again, don't worry too much about exactly what vertebrae you're on or anything like that. Just stick it in your lower spine somewhere. Try it there. Then take that band, move it a little bit higher. For me, this will be at pant line level. I'm going to find that band. Okay, there it is. I'm going to try and keep my chest fairly still. I'm going to focus on that band and I'm going to try and increase tension on the band by going into lumbar flexion. And then I'm going to try and reduce tension on the band or create slack on the band by going into lumbar extension. And just work your way through different sections of your lumbar spine. If you know that there's an area that you struggle with, or if you've got an injury in a particular area, you can use this as a treatment tool. Just make sure that you're only going through as much range of motion as you can without pain. Don't push through pain when you're doing this. Allow your brain to experience movement at that segment or at different segments in your lumbar spine in absence of pain. Your brain's sensing movement in that area and going, oh, there's no pain here, can help do wonders if you have low back pain, as your low back or your nervous system might be used to feeling lumbar motion and pain, and then it might start to pair those two things and you might start feeling a lot of pain when you move your low back. So it can be really helpful for you to just start to inject a little bit of movement into your low back through your pain-free range of motion. So I'm gonna move it a little bit higher. We're gonna find one more spot in our low back. I'm gonna place my hands on my knees, give myself some tension there. So now I'm quite high up, approaching my thoracic spine, and I'm gonna try and inject some movement there. It's good for a lot of people to do a little bit of work at their TL junction as well, or where your low back starts to meet your thoracic spine. That's often an easy place for people to start to experience lumbar extension, or just extension of that section of the spine, because it is fairly mechanically easy for most people to extend there, but flexion might be a different story. For some people, flexing that part of their spine can get quite difficult, so they might have to focus a little bit more on this movement where we apply pressure back into the band at that spot, whereas the extension, when we're coming this way, might be a little easier. For you, it might be different. You might have a different part of your low back that really struggles with either flexion or extension, or both. So you can use that as an assessment tool, and also, like I said, a treatment tool or a mobility tool to start to get different sections of your lumbar spine moving, and just take note of any areas that might either be limited or need a little extra attention.